Pekin ducks are those beautiful ducks, all white, with yellow beaks and yellow legs, slightly orange, really stylish ducks. But they are very difficult to raise without electricity and without an incubator. In other words, you need quite a lot of resources to start raising them. Stay until the end of this video to learn how to raise them without all these constraints. Hello everyone and welcome to Mama Ekenge Farm. Pekin ducks produce many eggs, but they do not brood them. So how do you do it when you have neither electricity nor an incubator? Today I am showing you a simple, natural technique that I personally tested here on the farm, and that can help many farmers. First, why raise Pekin ducks? Quite simply because they grow fast, very fast. They reach 3 to 4 kilograms in a very short time. They have good egg production, between 150 and 200 eggs per year, depending of course on the conditions. These eggs are large, their ducklings even larger, and from birth you can immediately see the difference compared to local ducks. They are calm, hardy, and even less demanding than chickens. Yes, I know. Local ducks are also hardy and much less demanding than laying hens, for example. But that is not the point. The fact is that Pekin ducks have one major drawback. Maternal instinct is not part of their habits. On top of that, they lay eggs anywhere. And here they live in the open. So you have to search, look for, collect, and gather all the eggs. In other words, they lay, and then you figure it out. On the other hand, we have local ducks. They are poor layers, lighter, slower. Some may say they are less attractive, but they are excellent mothers. You cannot have only negative sides, of course. They brood everything. Their maternal instinct is highly developed. They protect their young, resist diseases, and adapt easily to local conditions. That is logical because they are adapted to local conditions. There are still key differences, so let me remind you of the main differences between local ducks and Pekin ducks. Pekin eggs are much larger. Pekin ducklings are much stronger right from birth. Local ducks lay less but brood very well. It is precisely this combination that creates an incredible opportunity for us farmers. The big problem is the incubator and electricity. Here in Kinsala, at Mama Ekenge Farm, are deep in the bush. No grid electricity, and our solar panels are still being installed. An incubator requires energy and close monitoring. I even lost my first 12 Pekin eggs because of an incubator failure. One single day of malfunction, and it was all over. That is when I understood that I needed a reliable natural solution, and that is what I am going to share with you now. The technique is simple. We make sure that Pekin ducks and local ducks lay eggs at the same time. When the local duck starts brooding, we slip the Pekin eggs under her belly, and she broods them as if they were her own. No electricity needed, no machine, no possible breakdowns, just nature doing the work. Now I will share my experience and explain how it happened here. I had one Pekin female that laid 8 eggs and one local female that laid 4. You can already see the difference in production between the two breeds. I did not even need to remove her eggs. She brooded all 12 together, naturally. The Pekin ducklings hatched in perfect condition, stronger and bigger, all protected and raised like her own family. I do not want to discredit local ducks, because their ducklings also hatch strong, of course, but they are much smaller than Pekin ducklings. This technique changes everything. It allows you to raise Pekin ducks even without an incubator, even without electricity, even in the bush like here. It gives the best of both worlds, the production and size of Pekins, and the maternal instinct and resistance of local ducks. And on top of that, ducks are less demanding than chickens. They get sick less often, find part of their food themselves, and adapt easily. So if you are a farmer, even a beginner without electricity, you just need to intelligently combine the resources you already have, and nature will do the rest. Here at Mama Ekenge Farm, this experience showed me one thing. Sometimes the best technology is simply good organization. I therefore encourage you to start this business, this duck farming activity, whether local or Pekin, because it is a niche market. Most people prefer chickens, but you can still find your customers, build your brand, and find your place in these large markets around us. I noticed that Pekin ducks and local ducks do not mix very well. There seems to be some hostility between them. They fight and are not really in harmony. Ideally, if you start this activity, you should separate them and build separate enclosures for local ducks and Pekin ducks. When they crossbreed, their eggs are not fertile, and the young that hatch are hybrids and not very fertile. So the idea is to keep them separated, each in its own enclosure, and then use the same technique if you do not have an incubator. Place Pekin eggs under the local duck so she broods them properly. Once the ducklings are older, you separate them and put them back with their own kind. Pekin ducks are very expensive. In Kinshasa, they cost around $30 for a duck about 4 to 5 months old, already autonomous. Males are even more expensive, and breeders cost much more. It is truly a niche market. As for finding customers, as often in Africa, and particularly in Congo, there is high demand for food. You will find customers. Some marketing is needed, but it sells well. More and more people are getting into Pekin duck farming. Regarding feed, you can save a lot if you let them roam freely, because they find a large part of their food on their own, unlike laying hens. Of course, you still need to provide some extra feed. Here we use a lot of wheat bran mixed with maize. It is actually the same feed we give to our pigs. We prepare a ration for the pigs and take a small portion to give to the ducks as a supplement to what they find themselves. As you can see, we have plenty of ponds, so they look for food in the ponds and around the farm because we have space. This technique is very good, but it is mainly suitable for small farms. If you want to scale up, it will show its limits and become harder to manage. Imagine managing 100 ducks in free range. It becomes complicated. In that case, I would recommend using an incubator for more rigorous, professional, and practical management of your eggs in your farm. If this video helped you, share it to encourage other farmers, and subscribe for more practical tips from the farm. See you soon.